the mustache goes in and out of fashion. Sometimes it's everywhere. Then it disappears completely. Today, a mustache on a man's face doesn't surprise anyone, especially when paired with a beard. But where did this habit come from? And why do men keep growing mustaches again and again? It may have started as early as the Stone Age. About 100,000 years ago, a Neanderthal may have looked at his reflection in water, panicked, and decided something had to be done. He grabbed a seashell and used it like tweezers to pull out facial hair. 70,000 years later, another human sharpened a flintstone and began grooming his face more carefully. Since then, fashion has moved in cycles. Beards replaced mustaches. Mustaches replaced clean-shaven faces. Then everything reset, again and again. Today, around 14% of men prefer mustaches. That makes it the second most popular facial hairstyle after light stubble, which is chosen by about 1 in 4 men. Attitudes toward mustaches have always depended on culture, history, religion, and politics. In Western Europe, mustaches gained popularity in the 17th century. During the final years of Queen Elizabeth I's reign, full beards were admired. Her successor, James I, made neatly trimmed mustaches fashionable instead. In Russia, the spread of mustaches is often linked to Peter the Great. While he famously fought against long beards, his own signature look featured a prominent mustache. The late 19th century brought another dramatic shift. Scientists began warning that thick facial hair could harbor dangerous bacteria. In the United States and Europe, bearded men were suddenly barred from working in food service and other public-facing jobs. Mustaches, however, were still considered acceptable. World War I reinforced this trend. Soldiers with beards were more likely to die from chemical attacks because gas masks couldn't seal properly. Mustaches didn't interfere, so they stayed. But why not just shave everything off? In some cultures, mustaches are far more than fashion. In Turkey, they've been a core part of male identity for decades. Back in the Ottoman Empire, mustache styles signaled social class, income level, and even political views. That tradition still exists today. Nationalists often wear horseshoe-shaped mustaches. Supporters of Turkey's ruling party favor styles resembling 2 curved bone shapes. Even current and former presidents follow these visual codes. There's also the question of masculinity. Many men believe facial hair makes them look stronger and more dominant. A lack of facial hair is often unfairly associated with weakness, but biology tells a more complicated story. In 1993, anthropologist Ike Meinrad and biologist Karin Christensen from the University of Vienna studied 256 men aged 18 to 39 from Namibia and South Africa. They analyzed blood serum and saliva to measure levels of male and female sex hormones. Their goal was to understand how hormones affect facial and body hair growth. They found that high levels of male hormones do promote facial hair, but low levels don't necessarily prevent it. The real key turned out to be an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. It converts free testosterone into dihydrotestosterone, the hormone that actually stimulates facial hair growth. If the enzyme is scarce, facial hair grows poorly, but this has nothing to do with sexuality or masculinity. Genetics play the biggest role. If your father or grandfather had a thick beard or strong mustache, chances are you will too. Ethnicity also matters. For example, facial hair generally grows more slowly and sparsely in East Asian populations. Interestingly, studies show that women often perceive men with mustaches as more masculine, reliable, and responsible. In 2001, American biopsychologist Nigel Barber analyzed population surveys from 1842 to 1971. He discovered that mustaches and beards become more popular when the male population is larger. Women in these periods were more likely to marry men with facial hair and reported higher marital satisfaction. They believed their partners were serious and less likely to cheat. So if you're thinking about growing a mustache, be prepared. People may start expecting more from you than before. That's the strange power of this simple strip of hair. When we experience stress, the classic fight or flight response kicks in. Adrenaline floods the bloodstream. Breathing and heart rate increase. Pupils dilate. Blood rushes away from the digestive system and toward the muscles. Everything is optimized to survive danger as fast as possible. At first glance, facial flushing seems like part of this response. But biologically, it makes no sense. First, adrenaline usually doesn't expand blood vessels under the skin, it constricts them. This raises blood pressure, saves blood for muscles, and reduces blood loss in case of injury. So logically, adrenaline should make us pale, not red. Second, scientists discovered something even stranger. When a person blushes, it's not the arteries in the face that expand, it's the veins. That reaction is highly unusual. In the rest of the body, veins completely ignore adrenaline. They simply don't respond to it. But facial veins are different. They contain special beta-adrenaline receptors that cause them to expand. These receptors don't exist anywhere else in the human body. And finally, blushing from embarrassment or shame is unique to humans. No other animal does this. Of course, faces can turn red for other reasons: alcohol, sexual arousal, muscle tension, or cold weather. But the adrenaline-driven mechanism activates only in situations of embarrassment or social shame. Some people blush so easily and intensely that they develop erythrophobia, a fear of blushing itself. In extreme cases, surgeons even perform a procedure that cuts a tiny nerve near the spine to disable this reaction entirely. So why does this strange and seemingly useless mechanism exist? The answer may lie in something called social intelligence. Like blushing, social intelligence exists only in humans, and it doesn't appear at birth. It develops around the age of 4 through social learning. Social intelligence is the ability to imagine what other people feel, think, and want. In other words, to mentally place yourself in someone else's position. This ability allows us to build complex relationships, navigate social situations, and create massive societies. Some psychologists even argue that social intelligence is humanity's most important trait. Scientists believe that blushing evolved as a fast, nonverbal social signal, a way of silently saying, "I'm sorry," or "I acknowledge the rules." If you do something inappropriate, blushing may help diffuse conflict and prevent aggression. If you blush in response to something shameful, you signal that you share the group's moral standards. That's why people sometimes say about others with disapproval, "He doesn't even blush." It implies refusal to cooperate socially, a rejection of shared norms. Other animals have simpler versions of such signals. When a dog rolls onto its back and exposes its belly and neck, it signals submission. The same message it would send to a dominant dog. Our signal is far more subtle. By blushing, we open the door to continued social interaction. This theory isn't fully proven yet. Scientists still don't completely understand why humans blush. But the next time your face turns red, don't be embarrassed. It might just be one of our most uniquely human superpowers. Humans kiss those they love: romantic partners, relatives, friends, and even pets. Sometimes, overwhelmed by emotion, people even kiss inanimate objects that make them happy. This habit is so deeply rooted that we rarely stop to ask a simple question: why do we do it at all? Everyone knows that kissing feels good. In nearly every culture, a kiss is a universal way to express affection, gratitude, sympathy, or love. But from early childhood, we also learn something else. Germs are passed from mouth to mouth. During a deep kiss, saliva is exchanged, along with bacteria, yet this rarely stops anyone. Interestingly, the term French kiss was coined by the English as a slightly mocking reference to French Romantic culture. In 2009, a new scientific field emerged, philematology, the study of kissing. One of the first questions scientists asked was simple but unsettling. How many microbes are actually exchanged during a kiss? The answer is a lot. The human mouth is home to more than 700 species of microorganisms. The combined weight of all microbes living in a human body is about 3 kilograms. Researchers found that during just 10 seconds of deep kissing, partners exchange around 80 million bacteria. Fortunately, the most serious illness typically transmitted through kissing is infectious mononucleosis, which resembles a prolonged and severe sore throat. A risk of contracting HIV through kissing is practically non-existent, comparable to protected sex. Surprisingly, kissing can even benefit your teeth. Increased saliva production bathes the enamel in calcium and phosphorus, strengthening teeth and reducing the risk of cavities. If germs still concern you, consider the cardiovascular benefits. During intense kissing, heart rate can rise to around 130 beats per minute, effectively training the heart in a way similar to moderate exercise. But this still doesn't fully explain why kissing exists. Why not express affection in some other way? Especially since friendly, parental, or platonic kisses don't raise heart rate or improve dental health. One theory suggests that kissing originated as a way for mothers to transfer food to their children, similar to how birds feed their chicks. But this doesn't explain why people kiss hands in reverence or feel drawn to the lips of someone they desire sexually. What is clear is that kissing promotes arousal and increases the likelihood of successful reproduction. The inner surface of the lips is packed with nerve endings. Stimulating them triggers the release of endorphins, chemicals that reduce pain and produce emotional pleasure. Scientists remain divided. Some believe kissing is a learned cultural behavior, while others argue it's driven by instinct. Evidence is inconclusive. Some primates display behaviors resembling kisses. Chimpanzees, for example, may kiss after fights as a sign of reconciliation. In other animals, comparisons become far less convincing. Humans kiss those they love, romantic partners, relatives, friends, and even pets. Sometimes, overwhelmed by emotion, people even kiss inanimate objects that make them happy. This habit is so deeply rooted that we rarely stop to ask a simple question. Why do we do it at all? Everyone knows that kissing feels good. In nearly every culture, a kiss is a universal way to express affection, gratitude. After all, tongue in someone else's mouth is an awkward topic. For now, philematology continues searching for answers. Until then, instead of analyzing theories, you could always conduct some practical research of your own. Tattoos have always been a form of self-expression. Just like clothing, hairstyles, or makeup, a tattoo can reveal a lot about a person, their interests, beliefs, social background, and identity. Today, tattoos can even indicate potential health problems in the body. But how did humans start marking their own skin in the first place? And why did it become such a universal practice? One theory suggests that tattoos evolved from natural skin damage common in the Stone Age. Cuts, bruises, and scars often formed intricate patterns. These marks helped distinguish experienced hunters and brave warriors. Over time, people began deliberately shaping scars and rubbing natural pigments into fresh wounds. This may have been one of the earliest forms of visual art. Later, markings on the skin took on new meanings. They became protective symbols, signs of status, or markers of belonging to a specific social group. Some of these traditions still exist today. In New Zealand, the Maori people apply complex spiral patterns to the face and body. These tattoos are carved into the skin using special chisels, known as tā moko. They place a person within their tribe's genealogy and reflect their social status. Interestingly, the word tattoo itself is relatively recent. In ancient Rome, skin markings were called signum or stigma. Casanova referred to them as graphics, while Beaumarchais described them as hieroglyphs. Victor Hugo simply called them marks or imprints. The word tattoo comes from Polynesia, where it originally referred to the drawing itself. It entered European languages after British explorer James Cook mentioned it in his 1773 travel reports. Few cultures pushed tattooing as far as Japan. Traditional Japanese tattoos are full-body artworks with detailed stories and symbolism. Japanese artists even developed a technique using rice powder rubbed into skin cuts. These tattoos became visible only when the body was heated or flushed, remaining barely noticeable at normal temperatures. Fully tattooed bodies later became strongly associated with the criminal underworld, including the Yakuza. When joining the organization, members received new names like Tiger, Nine Dragons, or Roaring Storm, which were then inked onto their backs or chests. The tattoos weren't always voluntary. In Japan, tattoos were once used as punishment. A first offense meant a horizontal line across the forehead. A second added a curved line. The third completed the character Inu, meaning dog, a severe insult at the time. Russia followed a similar path. Sailors adopted tattoo traditions from foreign fleets, spreading them through the navy and army. Eventually, tattoos flourished in the criminal world. During Stalin's era, one of the most common prison tattoos was his own portrait. It was inked on the chest in the hope that guards wouldn't dare shoot at the leader's face. Ironically, Stalin himself had a tattoo, a grinning skull, from his revolutionary youth. He wasn't the first powerful figure to get inked. As a young man, future Tsar Nicholas II traveled to Japan and had a dragon tattooed on his arm. A shocking act for European royalty at the time. Decades later, tattoos appeared on Winston Churchill, who had an anchor on his shoulder, and Franklin D. Roosevelt, who wore his family crest on his chest. Today, tattoos are no longer just decorative. Scientists at Harvard have developed special inks that react to chemical changes in the body. A tattoo can change color when certain substances in the bloodstream rise or fall. In other words, tattoos may soon serve as living health monitors, art that literally responds to what's happening inside you. And that's baby science for you.